How is everybody out there? Yeah. I'm Stuart Bullard.
Let's all stand up. I'm Nathan Chandra. I have a company called Butterfly. I'm a co-founder of that company and the chief strategy officer.
Hi, yes, I'm Sean Barger, the CEO of MediaRich.io, infrastructure as a service, pay as you go.
And Seth Shapiro of Alpha Networks.
He's not standing up.
Yeah. And I'm standing, I'm your moderator, Warren Whitlock. I'm the content director for CoinAgenda, among other things. And I am so excited for this because I think it's like the funnest part of everything that we're doing. This is where we get to see how we're doing a lot of fun. I'm a large influencer in the term blockchain and social media. And it's fun to talk to so many people that don't know anything. And I don't get in an Uber without bringing it up. So I'm the influencer guy. And let's start off with, we got influence and entertainment. Let's start off with the influence. How are you using influencers to make things happen?
So what Butterfly does is we're actually a blockchain marketplace that matches brands and influencers.
Right.
It's kind of like Tinder for influencers and brands. So,
oh, wait a minute. If my picture's on there, they're always going to swipe left.
Well, you don't know. It's about your audience, really. So we have what we have is the problems in the market right now is that it's really difficult to engage influencers. So it's all done by hand, and what I mean by that is you have to do contracting and post verification and payment settlement. It's done by hand. So if you want 1,000 people to post about CoinAgenda all at the same time on Instagram,
right.
Super difficult. You'd have to hire a whole floor of people.
Right.
So the blockchain basically can come in and truncate that whole workflow and make it real simple.
Yeah, I first saw this with somebody local. I live here, and somebody was working on casino stuff, and they said they like to have hundreds of bloggers writing travel blogs, but they would never mess with that. The guy was working for one of the big casinos. He said,
right.
I got to have somebody to aggregate that. And then what happened was they were buying banner ads or pre-roll or extremely boring old media stuff where it gets down to be how much of an audience you have instead of how much influence you have.
Right, and so we've solved that problem using AI. So the blockchain does the payment side of things, and the AI basically helps optimize the campaigns. So I have a database, or we have a database of 100 million Instagram profiles that are all virally mapped for the brand affinities. So we understand all the information or all the audience information of different influencers. So when our machine learning goes in and optimizes a campaign and says, hey, these are the influencers that you should be working with, it's because who's in their audience. And then we assign
I better take a selfie.
Take a selfie.
Wait a minute, let me take a selfie with the audience.
Go post that, and then all these seats will be full.
Say hi, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
There we go. No, got to have a selfie with you guys.
You need longer arms.
All right.
All we got is your shoulder.
That's fine. And it made the point that even micro influencer. In fact, my little motto or line on my tag, slug, whatever on my Facebook profile says everybody has influence. And I think we start measuring that. Like, I'm surprised that nobody ever notices I'm carrying a phone. I tweet about things. I was on Foursquare. I can go walking into a deli. Nobody ever offers me a free sandwich. It's not the free sandwich as much as if they would say hello and measure kind of influence. And I don't know. Are we getting down to where we can do micro programs like that, get paid a fraction of a cent?
Yeah, well, it's more than a fraction of a cent, but we work with anyone that has 500 followers or more. So everybody up to a Kim Kardashian who has 180 million.
Not quite down to the
to 500.
If I just influence my brother.
I don't
we're
know
going there. Who knows? Okay. You got something?
Depends who
Stu?
your brother is. Is it Elon Musk?
Oh.
I'll pay for that.
Okay. Great. You and I are going to talk.
Yeah, very, very topical on that subject. One of the investors in MediaRich.io, when they saw what we were doing with the infrastructure as a service, creating miner software for other things than cryptocurrencies, is they wanted to actually create a new currency that's specifically for, as a JV, specifically for accumulating shopping coin while the users are mining using our solution for dynamic imaging and video, etc. So instead of you having to consume having you to consume our service and DineCoin, you actually can have a new coin, if you will, that allows them to install our software as part of their shopping product. And so while they're earning mined coin, they can immediately shop with that coin inside of a blockchain environment.
This
So
is
it's
one
very
I've
cool.
seen, and I don't remember if it was you or somebody at an exhibit once, and they were showing how you could earn coin by watching the videos, and they were using Swifter, how to use a Swifter for 5 minutes. Well, it turns out if you watch a 5-minute video on how to use a Swifter, good chance you're going to buy one, and you're going to tell people how great it is. And I go, that's wonderful. And then they were showing movie previews, and I said, well, let's say I see the movie preview and I want to watch it. Can I push a button and watch it? And they said, well, yeah, we ought to do that. So you get the preview and you decide right there.
It's a win-win-win-win, and you know the video was viewed, and you're actually giving them a reward for actually doing it, and or letting our service, process 1,000 images in the background, right? So it's-
Absolutely.
yeah. So
Oh,
it's really
that's
interesting
even
where this is
cooler.
going, I think.
Yeah, and it gets away from the idea of we're going to build a better Facebook where you can make money. I hear that pitch all the time, and I'm going like, yeah, you're not replacing Facebook with a whole nother model, and people don't go on Facebook for money.
Don't
It
get
needs
me
to be
started
a
with
little bit
Facebook.
incentives.
That 900% on the video, that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yep, I think we're getting there.
There's a lot of other issues with
Great.
their accountability.
All right, so, and Stu, you're going to tell us how we can earn a flight by being an influencer?
So-
I want to just walk on a plane.
Okay, so I'm going to tie influence and influencers with your question as well. I am the chairman and CEO of Airthereum. We have an app called Fly. I am what people call in the music industry the influencer who influences the people that run the industry. And because of that, it takes people like me to actually influence the executives to believe in the music that they invest in, because I'm one of the creators. So what I bring to the influence part of it over into Airthereum and private jet travel is that I'm a pilot, I'm type rated, I know the industry tip to tail as an aviator, and you want to get influencers that actually would also be your mouthpiece to speak out for you. And usually those influencers, they usually believe in the consumers and what they say, right? So the consumers are really the influencers in the world of blockchain.
Yeah. So this is exciting. I really think we're going to come to a day where you can reach out to an influencer, and maybe he's somebody who's creating great contact, knows his stuff, loves your product, and he has 500 followers. But you can treat him like somebody with 50,000 followers, because that's the one thing we all know is possible. We can go advertise whatever, bring him the followers, then he's a spokesman, plus he loves you even more. And we've never been able to do that. We've been buying them, everybody like their media. But at this point, I definitely want to hear what Seth has to say,
Well,
because he hasn't said anything.
going back to your point about this Swiffer ad, the traditional economics of media are kind of stuck in these older models where advertising in 30-second spots is to some extent a guaranteed punishment system, right? You have advertisers that are actually buying to purchase something that consumers don't want. You have the same thing with pre-roll, and so the ability to create more dynamic economies where actually you pay people for some transactions and some are content neutral, and with AI and blockchain you can actually dynamically change those, right? So depending on the consumer that you want to target, that consumer's worth more or less based on demonstrated behavior in the past. These are all things that can be enabled. In terms of influencers, I think the general stat is on YouTube, something like 3% of influencers get paid above $15,000 a year. And to your point, in that 97% of what a centralized Google-owned platform like YouTube would consider noise, there's a lot of value that hasn't been extracted. And so I think companies like these can find new models that unlock a lot of value, both for brands and for content creators and for the influencers and entertainers themselves.
Sure, there's just so many more partnerships that we can have. I got to add one more thing. I've been a Hulu fan since it came out, and wondering why we're going to watch something with limited commercial interruption when We have so many things we could be doing with that space. It's targeted, it's right to me, they know my viewing history. They know every site I've been at, and still they want to show me an ad that is bought in bulk. And in fact, they repeat the same horrid ads on there so much, I finally paid an extra $5 a month so I don't have to watch ads. And I'm a guy who loves ads. I'm an influencer. I used to be in advertising. And there's just so much just sitting there.
Well, yeah, and so that also goes back to this kind of legacy infrastructure situation that we're all in as the next generation of tech comes about. Hulu is owned by 3 major media companies, and so behind the scenes there's this enormous turf battle between the entrenched ad sales folks at the 3 networks that own Hulu and what Hulu might like to do itself, which you would not have were they an independent
Sure.
tech company.
We tried the live version recently where it put on the other channels and we were willing to watch commercials on there and pay $40 a month. And it overwhelmed everything else. Every time you went in the interface to try to watch anything, you were back into a live commercial program. And I'm going, that's why I stream. I don't want to watch commercials.
Well, yeah, and actually one of the biggest issues, of course, is that the technology is not there for just-in-time dynamic, seamless ad stitching, okay? That actually took a lot to develop and build. We actually have the issued patents in the United States on that. The problem is getting people to actually deploy it. We gave up.
Yeah.
Yeah, giving up is not an option. So we use AI for the Library of Congress to be able to just analyze and classify. The same type of AI that we use, we put it over into the private jet app, and it gives the ability for you to create just all the things that you look for. If you're vegan, if you like just blue M&Ms, if you like just certain things that are just curated to you, the AI actually picks that up. And then it also uses geo-informational setups that where you're positioned, it connects you to the things that you're most interested in. So, influence is a good thing of getting an approach to it, but you use the type of technology that's around. We can now get more out of yourself and what your preferences are, and then also your awareness.
You're opening up something that should be another topic by itself. But I want to switch gears right now because I want to make sure we serve the investors in the audience. How should investors be looking at this? Obviously, making a play towards video to technology to get the influence and jets. I don't know. No, all of these are good things. Like, how do I decide where I'm going to invest? Let's get a quick answer from everybody.
I have a quick question. How many actual investors are there in the audience? Please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 out of 6, maybe. So we have, okay, so it's about 30% of the people in the room. Okay. Just curious. So my answer to that is effectively, I think a lot of the biggest plays that bring in the biggest returns are infrastructure plays. Companies that are actually building what is necessary to enable change and make the huge market, for example, with AWS and Azure, where they're just bringing in just incredible numbers, selling 24-hour infrastructure as a service. But you have to pay for unused CPU power all day long to make that work. Plus, you have the redundancy. You have all these CPUs doing nothing. I think there's a lot of opportunity and a lot of different players where they're going to shift to pay-as-you-go. And I think
you're going to be distributed AWS.
Decentralized.
Decentralized. Sorry.
Decentralized and pay-as-you-go. So I can charge more, and you'll get a lot more for your money because you're paying on a transaction basis. You're not paying to set everything up in advance. And keep it
I loved
24/7.
having a lot of transactions and paying the bill for that.
I would say to you investors, invest into a solution that's going to bring in a solution for now, for today. Really invest in products that's going to bring a solution that people already are familiar using. Don't reinvent it, just add on to it and then introduce some type of new ways. and
Okay, the
services.
anti-Uber.
Yes.
I got time for the two
I
more?
always go back to it, the revenue model. Are they making money? Do they have the potential to make money quickly? You know, their team, and how are they solving problems? If you're looking to invest in a blockchain, then how are they using the blockchain to actually solve real world problems that are rampant in the industry now?
Good. Seth?
Yeah, I would say something similar. It really is about incremental tech and solutions based on where we are today in the world. There have been a lot of plays that have been about sort of disrupting and completely reinventing the models that are out there now. That's really ambitious when you've got, you know, businesses worth hundreds of billions of dollars in some cases. I think you look for teams that understand where we are today, that are steeped in the models that exist and can kind of speak to the existing tech stacks and then provide incremental value based on them rather than something that's going to sort of disrupt the entire existing system.
I can tie all those together. And even the difference between infrastructure and what works right now, infrastructure kind of is like taking some time, but your infrastructure, the way you put it, was that it's got to be infrastructure that you can sell right now.
Yeah, actually, so we're doing both sides. We're doing, basically, we're creating the Uber of CPU power, and we're enabling you to install it in existing AWS and Azure and other installations, like the solar company, effectively reducing your bill.
Fantastic. Okay, great. We have time for a question or two. Do we? We got, lunch is in 10 minutes, so we got time.
Sure, in the back.
We got somebody running a mic because we want to get this recorded.
Mike?
These guys have got such wisdom. Oh.
Good morning. My name is Lynn Fisher, and I'm curious. Obviously, influence marketing is something that is very powerful. But my core question is this: is that measuring the key performance metrics of influence marketing, where it gets down to even instead of just hope as a strategy, you've got 1 million followers. I just paid you a contract to do some timely drops, posting, whatever it may be. How is influence tracked or measured at the transaction level when somebody reacts to a post or something that somebody put out there? Is that technology out there right now? And do you see the influencer marketing industry going to more of a pay for click or pay per transaction instead of it just being a blanketed strategy? Because right now it's just like traditional advertising on television. You're sending out to a broadcast of so many millions, and you're just hoping for some type of penetration rate.
Yeah, I mean, right now what's going on is that a lot of the brands don't have a good idea of why they're hiring the influencers that they're hiring. They're not using data to support their decisions. And then that's kind of what we're bringing to the picture with Butterfly. There's a couple different ways that we measure the success of a campaign, and it really depends on what the brand is trying to achieve. There's 5 stages to the consumer adoption process. If it's a campaign that's just about awareness, then we'll talk about engagement, and we're going to be hiring influencers that have an audience with affinities and brand affinities that would match your customer. So there's a strategy behind who we're hiring and why we're hiring them. And then if it's more about conversion, then there's ways to put links in and to understand what the conversion is for each of the influencers.
Well, you can measure a click from where it came from, and that's another time. I come from a direct marketing background, where it's like, we're guerrilla marketers. We're not doing anything unless we can measure it in transactions. Well, if you go for transactions today, you're missing out the much larger market of people that want to get to know you. So people buy from those that they know, like, and trust. So there's got to be a whole lot more metrics than who is the person that caused the click that made the sale today. But there are gobs of that, and you talked about it going more towards that. I think it's going away from that, where we, like Stu would do, you find a good act, you promote them, you turn them into superstars. And so there's a lot of ways to play it, but yeah, you can measure it. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing
I can
you.
I can repeat your question if you want.
And I guess we need to move on because we had another question.
No, you can go ahead.
Do we have time? Get him the mic then.
Yeah, I come from a long history of that same background, so pay for performance is a major, maturity in certain markets and technologies and approaches. But the thing about it is that you lose a lot of knowledge about who is responding to or engaging the initial
Right.
post, right? So when you're actually influencing a network of people, you don't really understand the micro influencers who actually reciprocate or actually share that forward. So you don't see the full bloom or the network of the actual influence. So it's difficult to identify who's actually, what influencers. It say you have you hired 10 influencers and they share 100 million people between them, but you don't really know which one's actually doing the work.
It's a good question.
You need to know what the inception is, and there is some
we
blockchain solutions for that.
There is
Happy to talk about it.
solutions that we have in artificial intelligence that basically grabs the reactions from the influencers. So per se, how we use it to attach to a Kim Kardashian or Charlie Puth is when he's putting out a song in a certain area, the reactions from people actually commenting back in that area about Charlie Puth and his performance and the songs that he's doing. We gauge all of that. It's called community, micro-community interaction that's going on, and that is far more valuable because you're getting direct access that's pinpoint at a certain time, and then that lets us have the ability to inject influence of their product into that area, okay? So that gives you a real spot-on-time reaction towards that.
Yeah, you do actually, you are able to understand who is engaging with the post, who's liking the post and who's commenting on the post, and then what we're able to do is then crawl those people and understand their brand affinities. So you start understanding who your consumers are by what type of brands they like. You'll start learning that, hey, if I'm marketing this shoe, then the people that buy this shoe usually have the same brand affinities. They all like Bathing Ape. They all like Little Pump. They all like Lil Zane, Cardi B, maybe Naked Cosmetics. And then you start using the brand affinities that your consumers like to understand who you want to market to. And if you work it backwards from there, you say, hey, I'm going to hire this influencer because their audience has the same brand affinities as my consumer. And so you actually can use data to pinpoint where the influencer marketing spend should go, and that's what the future of influencer marketing is. That's what we're building. That's what we've already built that. And so what you're talking about, I think, is more how people are doing it now, traditionally, where the brands don't really know why they're hiring this person. They're just hiring this person because they think they have a good look and they have 1 million followers. But
the performance marketing part is easy. You just turn them all into affiliates. But there's a lot of people. I've been in affiliate marketing for in the 90s, and there's a lot of people that just doesn't work for them. They want to talk passionately about what they love, and they're not going to drive somebody to a sale today. That's what I was talking about on that. And I've seen one demo recently where they took a podcast subscriber list of 5,000 people, found 1,500 matches in their database of 350 million. And through their AI found out what they have to do. I was surprised to see they can tell whether or not somebody's an Amazon Prime subscriber. That makes a big difference in their buying habits. And then the #1 tag on a group of sports podcast listeners, I'd say anybody guessed, but you wouldn't guess, Taylor Swift. And so, it doesn't mean you're going to have Taylor Swift on the podcast, but that it informs that a sports podcast is not anti-Taylor Swift, and can you do something with that? Another example I saw in London, yes, they went out and it was a nonprofit campaign trying to raise awareness of whatever hashtag they were working on, and they found an influencer that the people that were already participating all loved, and they went to her and made the deal. She's hopped on board, say, yeah, this is good for my fans. Next thing you know, the whole thing exploded, and it was doing just this kind of research on, you don't know what it is until you start looking at it, but you're absolutely right, we need to tag all that stuff. And a whole nother thing I've seen, people creating a coin that keeps track of every place that it goes, and that's about all it does. And imagine a crypto that you gave away to people, and everybody got points by by giving it away more often, and you recorded all that, and you can't just airdrop them an ad, but you start to get creative with, there's a lot of things you can start learning about those people, and then of course go back to the influencer marketing model. Okay?
Okay, we'll do one last question.
Yeah, we could have gone on that one all day.
Generally speaking, I mean, entertainment as industry is very well poised to use blockchain to make it much more efficient. You actually have the influencers already there as your potential customers, right? Last week we were in Barcelona for a big show. There were two companies there. One was about music with a bunch of DJs. They have millions of followers themselves that use blockchain to get paid faster. It's quite simple. And then the other one was actors in Hollywood to protect their digital likeness online using blockchain. My question is for Seth: is how can you harness your past work and your entire connections and your network in actually turning your founding partners and founding customers into advocates?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, a lot of it is an educational process because for the major media brands around the world, obviously blockchain and crypto are conflated, and to some extent they're a little hesitant to get into something as volatile as the currency market has been. But I think increasingly all of the CTOs and all of the major execs at the major media companies globally know that there are all sorts of advantages in blockchain tech, so it's a lot of it's just an educational process and explaining to them what the direct benefits of the tech and then going in and actually showing them the tech and showing the solution. And that's why I think over time you're going to see a real move towards actual deployable technology.
Yeah. George Gilder says that we need to rebuild everything. His latest book is Life After Google. That's the one with Google's upside down on the cover. And, you know, that blew me away, first of all. I thought George Gilder would be pro-Google all the way. And he's saying that we need to rebuild everything on identity, on privacy, and that means everything gets rebuilt on the blockchain. Maybe we don't go that far, but the idea that the largest audiences are the entertainment audiences, the largest bandwidth is video. This is going to be huge, and we've got to find some way to invest in it, I'd say.
I just want to add to that and just say that because we're doing services, decentralized server side for just about anything, we're focused on making sure that there's an analytics layer so that as you create services, everything can be tracked and all touches and provenance for everything that happens with the creation, the viewing, the generation of content is all automatically ledgered
And maintains
tracked.
privacy?
It's all automatically ledgered and tracked, and we can either save it to their private blockchain or to our public blockchain.
Yeah, Gilder, as you were describing what you do before, I'm thinking something I read in Gilder's book, so you fit right in.
I got something to tag onto what you said. You know, I'm Dr. Dre's producer, and I have a long range of affiliations with the music industry. I went to talk to Lucian Grange over at Universal Music Group, and the other chairman's Rob, and just to talk about the structure of music and where we're moving with it. And their business dev and digital business guys, they are looking into blockchain, they're looking into crypto, they're looking at figuring out ways how to further get revenue for their models, right? But it's TuneCoin is doing it, but it's a slow process because, you know, all due homage to my elders. It's a legacy thing. They moved very slow when we missed out on the file sharing thing. Right now it's kind of like, oops, we're not going to miss it this time. And we're a little bit older, so they trust in us that are actually with them, and we can actually help them. So it's a tag to him. It's a learning experience for them too. And it's a learning experience for us to understand where they came from, right? and then build upon that.
Good. I would love to talk to you guys like all day long, but we're keeping people from their lunch.
Yes, we're gonna
So-
that's our last panel for them this morning. So we'll give these guys a big round of applause. They're again around. If you guys have more questions, find them. They're happy to answer those questions.